Hello, Vince. Well, since your post is quite lengthy, I think the video response is more suitable and it's going to shed a little bit more light on the stuff that you've been talking about. First of all, I want to congratulate you on being a methodical guy and having such a well prepared practice schedule. I've noticed that you're trying to chase a lot of rabbits. You know what usually happens when people chase a lot of rabbits? They don't catch neither of them. I don't want to bring you down or anything, but I'm just trying to help you gain more with less. You see, I used to be exactly like you. I used to think that, oh man, I want to learn this and 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 this. A huge bunch of notions, theory, techniques, songwriting, reading, writing music, and all that kind of stuff. And in the end, after having a really huge practice schedule, I realized that I was practicing a lot of stuff, but actually I was ending up not having a tangible result out of all that kind of stuff. So my question to you, after practicing all this sort of stuff, how are you going to implement it in a context to see if all your practice time was well spent? Because if you manage to implement all the notions that you're studying into an actual context, that means that your practice routine is efficient. Otherwise, it means that something must be changed. That's the question that you have to ask yourself when thinking about these two things. One, is my practice routine efficient? And two, when do I change it? So these are things that follow one another in a pretty logical way. For me, the best practice routine, and one which was, let's say, maybe unconsciously occurring, was the one that I needed to follow instinctively to get things done in regard to an important event, be it a recording, be it an important concert. For instance, I've learned a lot about expression and technique and ear training and orchestration and playing without drums and getting a good rhythm sense when I had to perform with the orchestra. I had to come up with guitar parts that were different for songs written by the greats such as Mozart or Vivaldi or I don't know. These two are quite enough, I think. Be expressive enough with a tone that has very little gain, because otherwise if you have too much gain you cover all the orchestra. They're not loud. They can be powerful, but they are not loud. You are not allowed to be loud when playing with them. So I had to be expressive and powerful without having too much gain. Trust me, that sort of practice worked wonders for my hands. I had to have technique, and I had to have good timing because I wasn't playing with a drummer. Oh, I had to follow the orchestra conductor. So this experience has built up a tremendous practice routine for me, which incorporated, as I told you, technique, timing, ear training, orchestration, and a thorough sense of expression when playing. So, first of all, I think that your goals would have to be somewhat different from the ones that those short-term, so-called short-term goals. Those are things that people achieve in a whole lifetime. Don't expect to get them flowing tomorrow or in 2 weeks or in 2 months. This is where people fail. They ask too much of themselves, they forget to enjoy the journey, and when they ask themselves, okay, I practiced, nothing's happening. blank. What I'm trying to say here is that you should make a list of songs which are doable for you at this point and try to emulate them. And when I say emulate, I mean everything from rhythm, lead, expression, timing, tone, everything. Start from here. And this is going to bring up questions regarding your other questions, because you have asked me how to practice, how to come up with riffs. Well, you have to learn a huge number of formulas and riffs from other bands which will inspire you to eventually come up with your own. This is what happened for me. You can't come up with something if you don't have some sort of a source of inspiration. And that source of inspiration is your subconscious working after listening to tons of music. Of course, you don't have to copy a famous riff, but if you know a huge bunch of riffs and you have listened to a huge number of bands that are playing riffs, you're probably going to be able to come up with riffs, because you're going to hear ideas in your head. And hearing the ideas in your head and putting them into practice on your guitar is the best thing that you can do for yourself. That's your original true self coming up in raw form, which you can later edit. Starting to work with your computer and recording all your ideas and being able to listen to them being played towards you will open up a huge number of possibilities. For me, that's what happened when I started working with a computer, man. My world has changed tremendously. I've learned to write drums and bass lines and record multiple layers of guitars, and suddenly I realized the huge number of possibilities. Big change in my life. That happened somewhere in 2008, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, right about this time, about April or May in 2008. That's when I was like, wow, oh my god. Anyway, another question about theory. When you learn a theoretical concept, don't just, I don't know, learn it by heart. I don't know, let's take for example triads, okay? You know that the C major triad is made up by the tonic, so root, major third, and fifth, okay? You know this. Now, what do you do with it? Well, simple. Pick up your guitar. This is one example, okay? So, you pick up your guitar. Let me just step back a little with the chair so you can see the guitar. Something like this, I think. Okay, so pick up your guitar and see where these notes are. So the simplest way to play them is here, right? C, E, G. C major triad, right? Well, now ask yourself this question. I know that I can find all these notes in all the neck. Now, here are two advantages. One, you learn the notes on the neck with this exercise, and two, you're going to be able to spot all the places in which you can play the C major triad. Simple. Spot all the C notes on the neck and try to find that triad all over the neck. We have it again here, C, E, G, okay? Then we have it again here, C, E, G. Then we have it again here, C, E, G, okay? And let's see, other possibilities. No, this one. See, here once again, and this one. See, I already spotted a lot of places in which you can play the same major triad. Now, the continuation of this exercise. Big possibility in our scenario. Pick up songs that have a simple progression, okay? So it's only going to be using major triads in the key of C major, right? So it's going to be C major, F major, and G major. 1, 4, 5. Hopefully you know your theory at this point about this little concept. So you're going to need C major, F major, and G major. All these are major triads, and they're built up using the 1, 3, 5 formula. So root, major third, and fifth. Okay? So try to play this sort of progression, so C, F, G, in all the possible spots on the neck. And that way, when you're going to be in the middle of a song on stage with somebody, if you know all these things on your neck, you're going to know where all those notes are and when where all the positions for these triads really are. So you're never going to be caught off guard if you need to play and you forget, I don't know, in a second you're going to forget that you need to play the F here, and suddenly you're going to remember, with your hands you're somewhere here and you're going to play this one. Nothing wrong with it, but your knowledge of theory and placement on the notes on the neck saves you. It's a possible scenario. I can build up thousands of scenarios for you, okay? So this is a good example. Theory must be applied. Don't learn theory just for the sake of knowing theory. Learn all the theoretical concepts that you like and learn to apply them with little exercises on the neck. We can come up with exercises together if you like, or you can make up your own. You just let me know and we're going to work on it. Okay? Nothing too complicated. You've asked me about how much time you should practice a lick. Well, you should practice a lick until it feels natural to you, man. I don't know. For me, a lick feels natural when I can be relaxed and play, and when I can play that lick anytime. Okay, it's just an example, and I can also emulate that lick with my voice. I usually do this just because I know that when I can emulate a lick with my voice, that lick is in my system, and it goes for any musical phrase that you can think of. For instance, let's take this lick. How was I playing it? Let's make it simpler because I can't remember it myself either, and it's not good for an example. I need to show you that I can remember it, right? So, let's try this one. It's simple. It's just a simple bending lick, right? I can play this lick, right? That means I have it in me, and if I need to play it, I know where the notes are, I know how the lick feels, and I can play it at various speeds, and I know the position in which I can play it, and if the tonality of the song changes and I recognize a chord over which I can play that lick, this is a very important thing. You must know where that combination of notes comes in handy, and not all licks sound good in the same form over all contexts, you know. You need to, experience is going to teach you how to adapt them, but usually if you want to use the same lick, you have to think about the way it sounds, and the way it sounds against various chord types over which the notes that make up that lick sound good, okay? Okay, so now in the context where we play this E power chord. You know that this lick sounds good over the E power chord. You can also play an E minor 7 or an E minor, and I'll let you find all the other chords over which you can play this lick. Explore, man. Everything is down to exploring. The more time you allow yourself to discover the way you feel and the way you are functioning as a player, as a musician, as a human being, the more you're going to be able to express yourself using your best assets. This is one other thing which I wanted to talk to you about. Don't strive to learn all sorts of things while ignoring your true personality. If you're a slow player, you can become the greatest slow player one of the greatest slow players that ever walked this planet. If you're meant to be a shredder, you're going to become one of the best shredders. But do not try to force yourself into being something that you're not and becoming frustrated with it. There's nothing wrong in learning how to play melodic or learning how to shred, but don't become frustrated because you can't reach the levels of other players. All of us were different, And when we learn to be at peace with who we are, then we can focus on what we can really do and become the best as our true selves. For me, that's my goal as a player, as a musician, and as a human being, is being myself. Hope I inspired you, man, and of course I'm waiting for your questions.